With me in studio now is Mr. Matt Chipman. He is the editor-in-chief of the Green Baron Report. Matt, always good to see you.
Glad to be here again, Don.
You know, I'm glad you're here this week and not last week, because last week it seemed like all of the market news was just very depressing. I mean, the general consensus of traders and analysts alike is that the recovery had pretty much hit a brick wall. It seems like people are a lot more optimistic this week.
Yeah, there is a little bit more optimism into the market. You do have a light trading week because we're coming into Labor Day. But the numbers that have been coming out the last couple of days are showing that things weren't quite as bad as they had thought. So the pending home sales ticked up 5.6%, which is nice to see that some people are buying homes out there. You got a little bit better improvement on jobless claims. You know, they improved slightly, and then you've got retailers. A lot of retailers beat estimates, so they're showing that the consumer is still there. You got these, you know, there were a lot of sales in August, people trying to get the numbers up, but you know, we've got staying power.
Well, we saw some surprising consumer confidence numbers early in the week, which you know, they were up, and I was very surprised to see that, because especially during the period of time when the survey would have been taken, most of the financial news was dismal, to say the least, and yet at the same time consumers are beginning to feel a little bit better about things. So anytime that happens here, especially in the American economy, that's a good sign.
Yeah, it is a good sign. People are getting out there. I think you've got some, you know, people have stayed close to home, but they're spending money, and you know, it's starting to be shown. I think the market got, you know, there was so much negative news, but the market isn't collapsing on all this negative news. It's trying. I think it's still trying to find a little short-term bottom here, and I think we're going to have a strong fourth quarter. I'm optimistic over the stock market. A lot of people are doom and gloom still, but I think there's a lot of things to look forward to here. And there's I think some of the stocks that we watch in the small cap arena and the micro cap arena are going to explode. And I think this is a great time to be accumulating.
You know, depending what part of the world you're watching this program right now, either Labor Day is coming or Labor Day just happened a couple of days ago. But I mean, that's kind of a benchmark day here, especially in the United States, where in the month of August, everybody's saying, you know what, I'm just going to wait until after Labor Day before I do this or I do that. Then the kids get back in school, and it seems like after Labor Day, things just start moving again. Yeah,
you know, and it is that way, especially in our arena. You know, that's a lot of people that are talking about stocks, they're waiting for people to get back from vacation. You know, people that got their kids out of school, they're not focused on the stock market. They're cutting their days a little short. Yeah, after Labor Day, when everybody gets back, and a lot of people, you know, in New York, they're in the Hamptons, they're coming back, and they're coming back to their desks, and they're getting back to work, readjusting portfolios, finding which companies they want to invest in going into the end of the year, and you're going to see activity pick up quite a bit in September.
You know, there was a few days in August where the markets really got hammered on individual trading days, but it seems like the support level, the bottom support level, seemed to be right at 10,000, which I think many people, when they look at the Dow, especially the last, say, 10 or 12 years, they've basically looked at 10,000 as the benchmark for what they consider to be a successful running stock market.
You know, and it's strange because it's just a number, you know, but it has seemed to have that effect. And, you know, on the flip side, you know, a lot of people have said, you know, if we drop below 10,000 and stay below 10,000, we're going to start heading and start retesting some of those lows we may have seen, you know, last year. I don't think that's going to happen, you know, unless there's some really horrible numbers out there. You know, what the government needs to do, and I hope they realize, they got to cut spending. Yeah. You know, governments have always said, you know, we got to increase spending across the board each year, and they got these tables they got to use. Look, the bottom line is we got to make up for the money we lost and the government lost and spent. And the government is going to have to take some hard measures, like the rest of the world has done, and some stringent measures to cut spending. And it's just got to happen. And I say that both to, you know, whatever your political affiliation is, you know, you know, I would say there has to be cuts made, and there's going to be some hard-line programs. But if you shave, you know, it doesn't have to be a cut of an entire program. They got to shave spending in every way.
Or at least when they do spend money, spend it intelligently with an eye for what is really going to work. I mean, you know, we saw the end of the Iraq War this week, official combat operations, and a lot of people like to blame our current economic woes on 8 years of war in Iraq. But of course, the Congressional Budget Office came out this week and said we actually spent more money on the stimulus bill last year than in 8 years of the Iraq War. And that's kind of an eye-opening statistic when you think about it, because we can't point really specifically where that $787 billion of stimulus money actually went. We see road signs, that's about it.
Well, I'd like to know where it's all coming back to us. You know, we've heard a lot of investments were made into the big banks by government, and rather than just reapportion that money back into other stimulus packages, some of it I think it could be needed. There has to be some very smart, intelligent governance made as to where to allocate funds, where to bring it in, and where to tax. If we do if all these tax increases do stay with us going into next year, or we go back to the way we were, it's going to be problematic, because that will put a stop to the recovery.
Very quickly, if people want to know more about the Green Baron Report, what do they do?
Just go to thegreenbaron.com. Just click any join icon, enter your email address, and you'll start getting our updates, website, webcasts, and alerts. We have a number of new trading alerts coming, and we've been able to show some impressive gains.
The Green Baron Report, Matt Chipman. Matt, it's always a pleasure talking economics with you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me again.
Take care.